Okay, so for this assignment in this module, we're going to talk a little bit about data in a way that many of you may not be thinking about data. Obviously, data comes in many shapes, forms, and sizes, and the cybersecurity around that piece correlates to in the technical aspect, in the logical aspect for some, as far as passwords being protected, files being protected. Um, Financial information being protected. And I think a lot of people understand that the what needs to be protected from a cybersecurity standpoint. But not often do we think about other sorts of data that is being collected about us and that's actually being leveraged in ways that we really don't understand. And what we're going to talk is really uh, something that's unique, but it's so prevalent, and people are kind of not understanding behind the scenes what is necessarily happening with it anyway. So facial recognition, this assignment, facial recognition and Big Brother for this module is something that I like to highlight in the course because of it seems like something that maybe doesn't fit necessarily in cybersecurity, but the data piece of it actually does. And there are really broad ethical issues that need to be considered when thinking about this topic. Your data is being shared and you don't even know it in a lot of instances, in a lot of cases. So if you think about this, everybody posts on Instagram and Facebook and many, many other social media websites, venues, things that I haven't even listed here, right? But where does all that data go? Where does the information that you're putting out there go? And some of it is traceable. Some of it is, sits at Facebook or it sits at Google or sits in certain places. But facial recognition is actually a little trickier because you have a lot of cameras that are picking up, public cameras that are picking up for surveillance security. You have people sort of mining data of images from the web and actually just grabbing the information that they find from the web about your face. And you own, obviously, the data of your facial recognition. And that's being used in multiple scenarios. There's a show on Netflix. It's actually called Connections. And if you get a chance, you could watch it. If you can't, that's okay. But it talks about actually this university is actually studying facial expressions of pigs. And pigs, if you don't know, they're actually very highly intelligent animals, and they have different, obviously, facial features like any other being on Earth. But they also have facial expressions the same as humans have facial expressions. And they're studying these facial expressions through facial recognition. And they're able to actually determine the emotional state of these pigs based on the information they're getting from these pictures that they're taking from the pigs. Now, if you could imagine, there are companies, security companies, that are starting to, if you've ever seen the movie Minority Report, where they're basically predicting what somebody will do before it actually happens. Well, I'm not saying we're there, but we are in a state where people may take data, your face, you look agitated, and they may take actions based on the fact that you're agitated or approach you based on the fact that you look agitated. Now, are you realizing that they're taking the data from the facial recognition and using it for certain things? But they're also using it for different studies and different scenarios. They're studying facial recognition and human behavioral patterns based on what they see, what's being posted, what's being recorded. And people don't even know it. And there's not a lot of litigation around this, law around this yet. So it's a really gray area as far as who really owns that data, the facial recognition data, and who can use it. And it's the whole Big Brother is watching. We've heard this forever. But Big Brother is really watching and using information about us that we may or may not know. And it's not just the Big Brother, the government, or whatever. It's other organizations, big organizations that are grabbing this data, using it, and leveraging it for their own purposes. And that could be a monetary thing. It could be to get ahead in a certain market. It could be to understand human behavior better and and make their product better, but they're doing it in a way that we are not aware of. And so the ethical piece is something we'll talk about as well. So I'm going to share my screen here, uh, basically talking about face surveillance and the data that's being derived and used because of this surveillance that they're picking. And you see this quick little picture of people walking down the street, and it shows their face. And here's the thing too, it's attaching data to that face too. So can you imagine you walking down the street and some surveillance camera has you on, and it gives you who you are and information, public information. If you ever go to some of these public information websites to find out what is available about you, there's a lot that's out there that's free, that's available. So imagine this is being done and you don't know it. It's not with your permission, it's being done. And this data is being gathered, and data upon data upon data is being compiled to get this really broad picture of society, but also you as an individual. And we don't even know it. And it's all based on this facial recognition software. So it's a really intriguing thing to dig into. This video does a really good view of what facial recognition is, where this data is being stored, how it's being used, how it's being leveraged. So a really great watch for you all to start learning about facial recognition and what it's being used for and what's happening to your data. And remember, we talked about hackers in this as well. If this is in good hands, it's okay probably, right? Although some people don't love that their data is shared freely without their knowing. That's an opinion thing. But this could also be used by hackers to predict behavior of what somebody is going to do or where somebody's headed. What are their patterns? All of this stuff can be used with the facial recognition data that is being shared sometimes, and we don't even know where it's being shared to or who has access to it. This is another really good one, the power of facial recognition, just talking about facial recognition overall. And this guy Panos explores the near future where we use facial recognition to drive more personalized experience and a more enjoyable life. So remember, it could be good, it could be bad, it could be somewhere in between. So these videos are a really good overview of facial recognition. And this one is talking about the facial recognition that's used inside China. And they have a pretty strict or formalized facial recognition state, if you would. And if you see just a little picture there of this book, all the information as somebody's walking through, they have all the information about that person. And imagine they know things about you and they're using and leveraging things about you that you don't even know they have access. And the big difference now is if you have that facial recognition and all this data is out there about you, it's kind of instantly tied into you walk down the street, all you have to do is point a camera at somebody and it'll pick up all of the information that's public about you, plus other information that has been added about you in whatever database is holding this information. And it could be a number of different databases. And this is the Chinese government, but things like this exist everywhere. So just be mindful of that. So what I'd like you to do for the assignment is actually, we're going to leverage the LinkedIn group. And the LinkedIn group, remember we went in and we did an intro in the beginning, and we answered a prompt in the beginning, and we shared that link. Well, we're going to use it again, but we're going to get a little bit more engaging with it now. So there's questions that you're going to answer, and you can do this in a matter of 3 posts, okay? So what you'll do first is actually explain how this technology and its use impacts us as a society. Dig into those videos, and always remember, look for other sources as well. Share sources in the LinkedIn group if you want to, but look for other sources as well, not just the ones I've given you. We're moving towards, I'm giving you sources, but I want you to be able to go out and get your own sources and share amongst the community too. What, if any, in your opinion, are the inherent ethical issues that exist or may arise from this? How does this relate to the confidentiality component of the CIA that we reviewed and learned about? Remember, confidentiality is, hey, this is so-and-so's information, and that's the only person that should see it. Or we decide which group should see this information, and whatever parties need to will see that information, and other parties will not see that information. So in this instance, you have to think about the confidentiality component of the CIA in regard to facial recognition. So that's that question. And then I'd love for you to respond to 2 of your classmates in the LinkedIn group. And the LinkedIn group, remember, is here. I did a little thing, said welcome to the group. So you can put your comment in here, and you'll put direct links to your comment that you answer the questions. Remember, you do that by clicking this and copy link to post. That's what you'll submit on Coursera. And then you'll also submit the responses to your classmates. So there'll be 3 links to each of your responses, and you can put those all in the link to in Coursera. So I'm going to hit stop sharing now. So we're going to leverage that group again to start building a sense of community. I'll have you respond. Always remember, cordially respond. It's okay to disagree, but do it in a cordial way. It's part of a community, a growing community, and it'll be part of a growing LinkedIn group what you put out there is out there forever. Remember, we talked about your cyber story. So just make sure you're cordial about it. I'm confident that everybody will adhere to that. Be respectful, be cordial. Great to have discussions or comment on what people have posted or the answers that they've put up on the LinkedIn group. And it's great to have a dialogue going. I want you to do at least 2 responses, but feel free to do more and get engaged. Remember, the more you engage and interact in this group and others, in the better place you'll be as far as the knowledge base you have, the experiences you are able to learn from, as well as just general information overall, and expanding of the network that you have to lead to opportunities or whatnot. All right. So thanks again. Remember, this is all part of our vision to build a sense of community, and it's a fun exercise to look at something that we don't always think of in regard to cybersecurity, and that's the facial recognition and the data around facial recognition and what is done with that data, how is it shared, where is it housed, and all of that. So see you on the next video, and enjoy.